19.
We're
My
going,
Russ.
okay, we're like,
All right, today is Thursday, December 19th. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I'm looking at all of this. Is Thursday, January 16th, 2025, policy committee meeting.
sorry. As my saliva went down the wrong pipe.
Yep.
Village Hall at Village Hall, Congress 33. And the meeting is called to order at 5.
I laughed because she took my glasses.
Has the meeting been properly posted?
Yes, it has. Thank you.
So, has everybody
Excuse me.
been able to look at the minutes? For approval? So could I have a motion to approve the policy committee meeting on December 19th, 2024?
I'll make that motion because you were, oh wait, no,
I can-
yeah,
yeah, I can
you
still
were there.
motion.
Oh, yeah, you can. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Sorry, I'm froggy.
So let's go
Quick checks.
straight into
Yeah.
Discussion item, and we will, should we just have Jason?
It's,
Well-
I'm good, we can go.
Yeah.
Okay, so policy, sorry.
Thank you.
Policy 110, 111, and 112.1. We can go over them individually. They're in discussion. We've already discussed them.
Mhm.
And there's not any changes from the last meeting. So we need to have this up in discussion. Actually, for several of these, it's really the same item, but we'll just jump through each one of them. Policy 110, we put in the statement, school district of Menominee Falls, in this template language, which is PRG template language. And this policy here, you can see crossed out is the next page in your packet. So that's the policy being eliminated. Well, it would be eliminated, you'll vote here eventually in action, but then when it comes to the next board meeting in consent, that's when it would be approved to consent by the rest of the board. So the statement put in here, the 24-29 strategic plan confirms the vision and mission of the relentless pursuit of excellence, one person at a time, while remaining committed to engagement, learning, and improvement. And then it walks through the pieces from Wisconsin statute 120.12 and .13 about school board duties and powers. Just note on the very bottom here, it references 112.1, which is gonna be a new policy, and then 113, which is another new policy, but it also links in the strategic plan. So on the very bottom left corner, and we didn't print that for you, but the digital version, which you all have and the public all has the strategic plan linked in there as well. Questions? All right, the next one is new policy 112.1. You'll just remember from the previous policy that we reviewed, 110. 112.1 is referenced in cross-reference. This is a new policy, but should be in our book. It is a PRG template, which we looked at previously. This has to do with board powers to use the strategic plan, which we did, and the statutory construction of board powers and duties. So it's important that we use the strategic planning process in order to develop our 5-year plan. That's established here, but also referenced again with the strategic plan document that was board approved and community approved last year. Questions?
No, just the only thing I can see,
Yep.
I think we talked about standardizing on superintendent instead of district administrator. Third paragraph,
Oh, must have missed one. Got it.
yeah, it's listed a couple times in there.
And we can make those addendums with the understanding that when we vote, that we'll make those changes before coming to the board meeting. Anything else? Good catch, thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, and that is so through B, actually I skipped over, I apologize, policy 111 goals. No changes from the last time we reviewed that particular policy. Alright. After that document, this is the only new document, is the next document, which is school safety plans, which is 723. You should have two documents, 723 and 442.5. 442.5 is our current school safety plan policy, but we're gonna eliminate that eventually. So this is a first reading, there is no action. Mr. Halverson has detailed the school safety plan document from PRG, and it's been fully updated to be consistent with what the board just approved in closed session, including the process, the planning, our safety checks. So this goes through multiple different periodic updating, all of which we are currently doing. So 442.5 becomes irrelevant, and this will become the standing policy. There is state law on every 3-year review of district safety plans. That being said, it's Mr. Halverson's intent to be yearly reviewing our school safety plans, even though the state only requires it every 3 years. So you'll note that it states every 3 years in there, but he's already communicated with the board that we'll be doing it more often than that. And then you can see where he has listed Director of Student Support Services in there. Obviously, those are inputs from the PRG template. This is a first read, this particular document we've not seen before. 442.5 is just X'd out for you. So that would have to come back to our next policy meeting, this one, 723. Question?
And same on that one, district administrators in there multiple times. Under periodic update and review and board approval section, first page,
You can just search it probably.
point 1C on student training, student plan training.
Yep.
And then on the last page, under the first blue paragraph there. So yeah, a couple times in there too.
Alright,
It's just minor formatting things.
we will,
So at least just go through the document search and replace it.
Yep. we will take care of that. Alright,
So, I just have a question in
Yeah.
regards to this. So in our action, then we will then probably have a motion to remove 442 and replace with 723.
at our next
So, yeah.
meeting,
Okay,
at our next
so I
meeting.
just wanna make sure that.
Yep. So we wanted to first have our closed session safety approval from the board, and then bring out, we didn't wanna get ahead of the board. The board's closed session action with respect to safety plans. So that's why we waited on that one document, but that'll put us another policy meeting out, which is fine. Meaning we're in full compliance and ahead of the game that way. But that is, you are correct.
We'll just renumber it essentially.
So 457 is a new policy that we looked at last time and is unchanged since we looked at it. So it goes into student suicide prevention and intervention. Mr. Halverson put quite a bit of work making this consistent with our processes, including suicide risk screening processes and systems and that sort of thing. I know that the curriculum committee last night met with the counselors, so obviously this is not fully their responsibility, it's responsibility of many staff members, but they would be involved in this, as well. Questions? There's lots of statutes referenced here. You go to the back and reference assignment of responsibility, it states civil liability exemption, and then the multiple state statutes, almost 10, plus PI 8, school district standards on guidance and counseling program requirements. That's why I referenced yesterday's counseling, that I was unable to be at.
I just just had this question on the suicide risk screening process. Is this a
Yes.
standard guideline
It is,
that we're using?
it's.
Or are we, did we make this? Where did we get this from?
Yeah, this is a risk assessment, I didn't ask Mr. Halverson to be here, but this is a risk assessment template that is used probably very similar to what you can get from SUSO, Speak Up, Speak Out. If you go onto our district website and look up SUSO, you will come to a lot of these screenings, they're very public in terms of how you go about assessment and screening. If you have police, if you don't have police, there's some different protocols, so yeah, it's a good question. There's support plans too on the very back. If you'll flip to the back, I think one of the most important things, and there's a lot of important aspects with suicide risk assessment, but the support plan on the very back, if you flip to the back, is a critical piece to when are you checking in, and it's more of a plan for the school day, and it's a really good document.
So is this an attachment then with this policy
What
or?
it looks like,
Yes,
kind of like an exhibit.
Oh, yeah, exhibit, yeah.
Do you just wanna add something in there, in the policy that there, it's an exhibit so people know that?
Yeah,
sure. I'll
Like
make
we did with the strategic plan.
Yeah. Just writing a quick note here. This exhibit. Alright, I will take care of that. And we're gonna move on to the 800s.
Okay.
And we have Jason here from Community Ed and Rec, who's gonna walk us through several of the 800 policies that he's put a lot of great work into. And there will be one recommendation for an adjustment, which we'll have to talk about.
Okay.
So why don't you take it away with 830,
All right.
Jason?
If it's okay, I'm gonna kind of talk about 830 and 835 combined, and it'll make sense here shortly. So since our first read last time, really all I did with policy 830 was take some language that was left in policy 835 and move that to policy 830.
Mm,
We discussed last time that 835 and 830, very similar, a lot of redundancy. So really, policy 830 now includes that community center piece as well. And then 835, which was specific to the community center, we will be recommending removing that policy completely, because that's now incorporated into 830.
And you can see that it's actually written, for those that are looking online, that's written in blue on the bottom here. Go ahead, Jason.
In regards to the procedure that's associated with policy 830, made some minor changes since our last meeting, based on the conversations that we've had, added some language about how a resident rate applies for groups, just stating that that rate is based on the address of the organization and not an individual. So that just provides a little bit more clarity on whether they pay resident or non-resident rates.
And
And
where is
then
that at?
that would be in the procedure 830,
What?
top page is highlighted in blue.
Oh, I don't,
I don't have that pers-
Oh, we didn't
Oh, I
attach
have
the
it.
working.
I didn't.
or maybe I had it from the old stuff, I was kind of
That's
confused.
why I know.
If you look at the clean copy of procedure 830,
Mhm.
it's the first paragraph, last two sentences of that first paragraph.
Which reads residence rates apply. So this page, this top paragraph, right up here, and then the last two sentences, resident rates apply to organizations,
sure.
nonprofits, and businesses with a registered address in Menominee Falls. The home address of an individual member of the organization cannot be used to determine
Got
residency
Yeah.
status.
So if the organization is from Milwaukee, but they live in Menominee Falls, they're considered a, or Milwaukee resident.
Correct,
But a business entity, correct?
correct. And the other change on that first page, underneath section 1, use of facilities. We added under those bulleted points, we just added that with the community center, priority would go to community and rec programs and then school district activities, whereas all other facilities, it's school district activities and then community and rec programs.
And that's this portion that I outlined, sorry that that's not
That's okay.
in blue for you, but it's that part right below that says community center exception.
Yeah.
Is that right, Jason?
That is correct.
Okay,
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the other change, well, there's two changes, but the only other change that was in the clean copy that you received is when we talk about school district partners, I just added some examples, and that's something that came up in the last meeting.
that's on the second page, Roman numeral 6. Correct, Jason?
Yes.
Roman numeral 6, the examples include Village of Menominee Falls, Booster Clubs, PTO Scouts, Optimist Club, and Community League. That's right, we did discuss that. Putting
I
in
think it's just helpful.
like examples of school district partners.
And then the last thing with procedure 830, which this will not be on your clean copy, but I wanted to talk through it here today. I would like to add a statement on the end of the procedure regarding payment of facility use.
So you would like to add a Roman numeral 13?
Yes,
So right above statute 120.13 sub 17.
and I can read kind of what I was thinking. Payment for facility use may be required prior to use. If payment is not received, the reservation may be canceled. Future facility use by the group may be prohibited. You'll notice in there I had a lot of mays, it just gives us a little bit more flexibility. But right now, we have nothing in our procedure or policy about what if somebody doesn't pay. And with some of our groups, like our affiliate groups, we bill after the fact, so it's, and we haven't had any issues. With our outside groups or like our one-time users, we collect payment before the use, but we don't have any provisions in place if they don't pay. So this just helps us, if somebody doesn't pay by a certain date, we could in theory cancel the reservation. I can definitely. Payment for facility use may be required prior to use. If payment is not received, the reservation may be canceled. Future facility use by the group may be prohibited.
Do we discern it in regards to the timeline there?
I didn't,
Okay.
I thought about it, so like I thought about putting in there, payment must be received a week prior. I just left it out to allow a little bit more flexibility, but it's something that we could put in there if we wanted to.
And what about, something about, if you prepay and then the event we have to cancel, snowstorm? Is there something on the refund of the facility or be applied towards?
Yeah, I don't have that in here, but we would,
That'd be part of
we
your
would,
procedure
we would
practice.
treat it like a program, we would get that refund back. So that was something that's not in your clean version, but we've just been working through some situations recently where I wanted to make sure we had something in the policy moving forward.
Yeah, Jason mentioned to me in passing, just in the midst of today, I mean, and it's a good idea. It's a good idea to have some sort of clarity about that. I mean, there's a lot of money coming in, I mean, C and Rec it's a little business and that we're thankful to have as part of the district because it's a huge community outreach for us. That being said, there's some challenges, with that.
No, I like those additions.
Do you have, do you wanna be as specific, or it might say it in here, but like if payment is not received, it was received by a certain time period?
That's what I was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's
was like
cool.
I was like
I just
studying this.
kept it more general, just to provide some flexibility.
Sorry.
Yeah, I like the general statement and then you can make that part of your operating procedure.
Alright?
Yep.
And then, so with the changes to policy and procedure 830, that eliminates policy
Eight
835.
35.
Any questions on that?
No.
And then last policy is policy 837, which is community center parking lot regulations, and at this time, we are not recommending any changes to that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
That's it.
Okay, straightforward to me.
And I just didn't, I think I must have just gone too quickly to do it. If it's okay, we could just briefly go back to 111, which is a strikeout policy. So policy 111, and I think I misspoke and said that this was old 110. I just wanna be clear, that 111 no longer is gonna be, when we come to action, the recommendation is gonna be to eliminate it because it's been incorporated into 110 and 112. Alright, so this is an old policy, it's not PRG, it's not Neola. And it talks about goals, strategic plan, all these sorts of things that's completely incorporated into these two policies. So these two new policies will completely incorporate old 111, alright? I wasn't clear about that. So there's nothing to, we're Xing it out and we come to action, we'll be eliminating it similar to 835. Because we have two policies that have everything in there that used to be there. Questions?
Alright,
Alright, so we'll jump to action.
ready to rock and roll?
Alright, so the first action item is policy 110.
So I'll need a motion to approve policy 110, school district mission as presented.
I'll motion.
A second.
Any other comments, questions at all? Alright, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Policy 110. That's been approved. Okay. Next is I need a motion to approve the removal of policy 111 as presented and discussed. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Alright, 111 is removed. Next is policy 112.1 strategic planning. I'll need a motion to approve policy 112.1 as presented.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any other comments on that?
Just to make sure we just update
With the
the
corrections.
the district administrator and all this, yeah,
We'll cover that as presented, but yes.
correct.
Alright. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? On to policy 457, suicide prevention. Need a motion to approve policy 457 as presented.
I'll motion.
I'll second. Any other comments on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passed. Policy 830, use of school facilities. I'll need a motion to approve a policy and procedure 830 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second.
Any last minute comments at all?
Nope. Thank you, Jason, for your work on that.
Yes, thank you very much.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mhm.
Alright, it's done. And policy 835, use of community centers, I'll need a motion to remove 835 as discussed.
If I could recommend adjusting the motion to remove policy 835 and procedure 835.
I'll motion to remove policy and procedure 835.
I'll second.
Any questions?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Alright, and last policy 837, community center parking lot regulations. So I'll need a motion to approve 837 as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Anything?
Mm-hmm.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
That's the weird one.
All set, thank you so much, Jason, for all
Yeah,
that
thank you.
work, so I'm glad we were able to finalize that for you.
So future agenda items is gonna be safety plans.
Okay.
And then I'd like to get through the rest of the administrative,
Mm-hmm.
the hundreds.
100s, I think
The
you said.
100s. I'd like to get through the rest of the hundreds, we're pretty close. Got a couple to
One
go.
that you were splicing or something.
Yep, that's the one. So we have that one and a few others kind of sitting in reserve. So I think we have a good next meeting.
And then also to, what was gonna come back, what was the discussion? The,
Safety plans.
Yeah, so that'll be coming back.
So we have safety plans
Oh,
and
sorry, I forgot.
there's also the curriculum. Ms. Rabel and I are working on, there's a new Act 20 policy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if that's gonna be at the next meeting, but it might be a first reading by the next meeting. Because Ms. Rebel and I are sitting down, I think Monday, to review some templates. So that's linked to curriculum directly, but it's required that we have it done. Sometime in June or at latest July 1.
Right.
So there's like a timeline out there. But we're reviewing it, Ms. Rebel and I, and we'll get it either to the next meeting or the meeting after. So we're well within our timeline for approving what's required that we have in policy. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Is
well,
that what-
or she would just be here, or we,
Oh, yeah, that,
Because
good
it's
would
point.
only
it,
two
would
of
it
us here.
start in curriculum? Or would it
We
just be
can.
here?
So I
I
just
mean,
wanna
or we
make
could-
sure
Yeah,
that
we
we're
could just invite
efficient,
Sarah.
that we're efficient in doing it, that if we could.
That's a good point.
So that's something to talk about, discuss,
Yeah.
if that's possible, to combine it, and then we can just have all the members here.
Yeah, I just wanna get it on the radar screen that, obviously school safety plans, but that Act 20 policy, I'm not saying that's exactly what it's gonna be named, but that's essentially what it is. All districts there was some model templates that have come out within the last month or so. We can start in curriculum,
Right, cause there's a lot of guidelines about testing and, yeah.
But
it's,
wouldn't that just be a standard, policy also too? 'Cause we
Yeah,
can't really
probably.
go for too
That's
far
what I
out
was
from
thinking,
the
I thought we
Act
could just
20.
handle it. It's up to Amy though.
yeah, well,
I mean,
let's,
Amy might just be here,
yeah, we could have her come to policy.
and we can invite Sarah too.
So so I think we would be open to combining
Okay,
to, if you want to.
sure, we could do that. Just wanted to get that on everybody's radar screen.
Just to get that, and our deadline's June, July, you said?
I think it's July 1.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident that
So let's put it June.
that we have to have it in place by
By
July 1.
So that'll be next meeting for sure, or possibly.
Pretty likely.
Okay,
Pretty likely we'll have a first reading at the next meeting. We have the template, she and I, we just haven't had time to sit down and talk through it. I think it's likely we'll have it up for the next meeting.
Okay.
Along with a second reading for school safety plans, which we definitely wanna get up.
So that's possible, we can do that. Sounds good. Have we set our policy for the next?
all the way through
Yep.
May.
Yep, we send them through May. So we'll have the rest of the hundreds in there, probably some, at least, and then there's the I think it was 840. They got broke up into like 4 different policies, but some of those are already through to the board.
Yeah.
So it was like 330, 331, 332 became one policy. We're doing very similar things. Actually, some of them are right here. Some of them you just approved. They were breakouts from 184, which is an existing policy that should be bookkeeping and minutes. So there's a minutes policy that we have to bring forward, but we couldn't bring the minutes policy forward until we got some of these other things broken out.
Sure.
So, minute, safety, and the rest of the hundreds.
Okay. Are we good?
Yep.
Else? Then I'll need a motion for adjourn.
Motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Showing adjourned at 5:30.
Yeah, the next meeting is February 20th.
It keeps for a while.